The decision to include the Senate in Canada's Parliament was not an accident of history. It was the product of reflection and choice by the fathers of Confederation, who understood that an upper chamber could foster national unity by equally representing regional interests. Since then, we have embraced cooperation and compromise in Canada's governance, and as a result, our country will soon celebrate its 160th birthday as one of the most free and prosperous societies in the world. Yet there are those among us who still want to abolish the Senate. The irony is, most of the loudest voices in that come from the West. That's ironic, since abolishing the Senate would create a country whose lawmaking is entirely dominated by Ontario and Quebec, and whatever government has a majority at the time. Representative elections being based on population, unless you stupidly put all your eggs in the basket of an American-style Senate. Or worse, it would put senators in a position of being open to lobbying and partisan influence, constantly worried about perception and re-election, instead of doing the right thing on any given issue, free of outside influence peddling. Influence peddling, of course, being what conservatives call accountability. Since there have only been 3 scandals in the Senate's whole history, and each was easily fixable by tightening the rules, having regular audits, and appointing qualified people to the Senate instead of media personalities. But the work of the Senate needs to be done, and despite the claims by politicians who want that power for themselves, this institution has done an amazing job throughout this country's history. Those who scream otherwise usually have an agenda, and any reform they suggest would heavily skew power in their direction. Look, always be suspicious of anyone suggesting a reform, because they're either ignorant of the law of unintended consequences or openly attempting to subvert power for themselves. And those who aren't smart enough to admit that should never be allowed to tackle anything more complicated than a Play-Doh set. Thanks to all my patrons for making these shows possible. If you want to see your name here as a producer, it's only $1.50 a month. Subscribe to DUZA BEAR Plus at DUZABEAR.com. And now, this! That's a plane. What am I throwing to? Is that it? Oh, thank God, I'm so hot out here. We came to Alberta to cool down, right? Why is it so stinking hot here all the time? Ugh.